Hi there. Welcome back to Zero Production Value Movie Reviews. I'm Eric Hoernke. Today I'm going to be discussing the 2019 film The Goldfinch, directed by John Crowley. Crowley directs this adaptation of a popular 2014 novel of the same name. Crowley himself gained a little bit of notoriety and a little bit of film cred. He has not been very prolific, but gained a little bit of cred from a few years back with a movie called Brooklyn, which landed on the Academy Awards radar and actually got nominated for Best Picture. Thought that movie was a little light and not really deserving of its Best Picture nod, but the guy can always say, I had a movie nominated for Best Picture, so he's got that going for him. Stars Ansel, Elgort, and Fegley in one of the most interesting name combos I've ever seen. In about equal measure as child and adult, child like adolescent child and adult like 30-ish, of Theo Decker. Now, a tragedy befalls Theo Decker at a young age, and he spends basically the majority of his life kind of wallowing due to that tragedy and drowning, essentially. So the painting, The Goldfinch, that's what the title references, was, as I said, a painting that was painted in 1654 during the Dutch Golden Age by a Renaissance master known as Karel Fabricius. And when I Googled it, the number that came up said that this painting could be worth as much as $300 million. Yes. And also it's like not very big. So an interesting footnote to that was based on like the size of the painting. It might be like one of the most valuable paintings like per square inch versus the dollar value, versus the dollar value. I thought that was kind of an interesting tidbit. But to Theo, this painting represents far more than dollar bills. So as a child, Theo and his mother are in a New York City gallery where the Goldfinch is, among other, classic paintings, and a bomb goes off. And many people are hurt, injured, some are killed, including Theo's mother. Now, two other events would occur simultaneously, or in the aftermath of this bombing, that would pretty much chart the course of Theo's life as we see it in the film. One is that he meets this old man who bequeaths him a ring and says, bring this to my partner. And Theo takes it and is like, okay. And also that older man was with a girl who Theo comes to really kind of adore and sort of has a secret crush on through not so secret crush, through like the entire course of the movie. The other event has to deal with the Goldfinch itself, because Theo would basically stumble across the Goldfinch on the ground in the aftermath, and for all intents and purposes, he would steal it. He just took it, shoved it in his backpack, and walked out. Now, because of the bombing and such, pretty much everybody just believes that the painting was destroyed, when in fact Theo actually possesses it. So, young Theo's life is basically broken up in two sections. He starts by being sort of taken in by this wealthy New York City aristocratic elite kind of family who are like, we go sailing on the weekends and stuff like that. It's headed by Nicole Kidman. Like, he's kind of friends with their son, and he's at first an odd addition because I don't think they're really that close, but as time goes on, they become closer, and he actually becomes sort of almost a legit member of the family. And right as I think he's almost happy and they're almost ready to adopt him and officially make him a part of the family, Theo's drug-addled, addicted father shows up and spirits him off to Las Vegas. The father, played by Luke Wilson, of all people, in a rare dramatic turn. And of course, he doesn't really care about Theo at all. He just is using him as kind of a means to get that he thinks he can get to some money, and ends up, it ends up failing miserably, but that's the point. I'm not really sure how much I like this film. When I sat down to do this review, on the surface, it's kind of a simple narrative. Dramatically, it's a bit more complex. The best of the film, I think, really is Ansel Elgort channeling the older Theo, because he's sort of written as this sort of, this superficially calm character, but you can tell that there's all this emotion from this tragedy that's sort of boiling underneath it. He's clearly still stuck in that gallery on that day, traumatized, PTSD, and guilt-ridden along with it, because he blames himself for his mother's death. And Ansel Elgort himself keeps a mostly austere performance, so it's really a lot of what's underneath the surface, and you might get a few scenes where he's kind of not in public, that he kind of lets it slip, but the young Theo scenes, you can see why they set up, because they set up some key relationships, but I think those are the scenes that tend to drag. And when you don't know where the movie's going, you kind of are sitting there like, oh my gosh, why are we watching this? It seems long and we're going nowhere. I know something's going to happen, you're just kind of waiting for it, and when you're done, when it does, you're kind of like, all right, that happened. So when that young period of Theo's life is over in Vegas, he ends up running back to New York City and ends up as a ward/partner to a man named Hobie, played by Jeffrey Wright, who is the partner of the guy who gave him the ring way back, at the in the museum after the bombing. And at this stage, like I said, he's partners with Hobie in this sort of antique furniture business. He's a very, like I said, austere. He's wearing bespoke suits, very classy gentleman, and he's sort of just gliding through this existence, though, on a very superficial level, not really engaging, not really getting involved. But the only time you see him is he sees that little girl that he has a crush on and still maintains to this day, and that's about the only time you ever really see him betray any true emotion. That being said, a chance encounter and a pivotal revelation will kind of jolt him out of this cavalier existence that he's leading and force him to make some decisions and take some actions that will actually, chart the rest of his life for good or for ill. There's a great cast here. I've said some of them: Nicole Kidman, Jeffrey Wright, Sarah Paulson is a co-star, Finn Wolfhard is a co-star, Luke Wilson, like I said. And much of the meaning and depth, like I said, is contained in Elgort, and you really have to believe him in order to get on board with this movie, or in order to really enjoy this movie. You have to believe his dramatic performance, which I said can be like very on the surface, but I bought like how he was channeling the emotion into it. The only other issue, if I would say there was an issue, would be kind of the final act event that sort of causes that is the climactic event. It just feels a bit out of left field. I mean, you can see why they did it, because it gets Theo where he needs to go, but it's tonally different from the rest of the movie, and it almost changes out of a drama or at least into a different kind of drama than we have been watching. But like I said, I can see why they did it. So the more I think about it, the more I kind of actually like this film, except for some of the stuff that I mentioned. Maybe that stuff could have been written a little bit better to make it smoother, or to make it more streamlined, or to make it tonally a bit more cohesive. But I still think it's actually a really good movie and worth seeking out. Kind of a hidden gem that I don't think a lot of people have seen. It's not best of the year caliber in my opinion, but I think it's like just below it. So it's still a pretty quality picture. Entertaining, interesting plot with some good, deep emotional catharsis, good performances all around. So for all that, I'm going to give The Goldfinch, directed by John Crowley, a B. I love you. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching my movie review. I enjoyed making it. If you like it, like the video, you can subscribe, up that subscribership. Even if you don't want to watch the videos, just subscribe. Leave some comments if you want. As always, I'm Eric Hoernke. That rhymes with turnkey. This has been a production of Zero Value. Thanks for watching.